everybody? It's your girl Songbird, and I want to welcome you guys back to another episode of Room 1002. Y'all know what it's all about, man. I'm here showcasing the hottest up-and-coming artist right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, I don't know if y'all know this, but I'm super excited to have another woman in here with me. I don't get a lot of female artists, so I think it's really cool when I get to sit down and have a girl-to-girl chat.
As always.
So I want you guys to help me welcome the producer, the speaker, the writer, the rapper.
Exactly.
Was that good? Was that good?
Yes.
Priestess Speaks.
Greetings, everybody. Thank you, Bree, for having me.
Absolutely.
Truly, thank you.
I want to start you off with a question that I asked all my artists, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And I think it's the most important question to me because it kind of supports the whole purpose of Room 1002. Of course, we want to know where we can listen to some new music and, you know,
Right.
bop our heads to something new. But it's really all about giving your audience and your, ever-growing audience the opportunity to get to know who you are, right? So I just want to know, who is Priestess?
Well, I feel like in order to answer the question who Priestess is, I have to explain what I am.
That's deep. Okay.
Because the what kind of walks into the who, I guess. So basically, as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I know, I was sent here to just be the reminder, be the messenger of returning to your natural state of being.
Wow. Okay.
The all-knowing source energy has no label. It has no really. We as humans depict it as a label to have something to call it by, right? We need to define it. We need to be able to know what it is. But there is a collective and a source energy that we all come from that is nameless, right? It's labelless. So with that, and that's what we are sent here to do. So with who I am, pieces of my character, my qualities, my personality come from that what, right? So the who, I feel like, is the extension of that, right?
Wow. Okay.
I feel like the who is the extension of that. So who Priestess is and who I'm also growing into is the extension of just getting closer and closer to my highest vibration.
Talk to us a little bit about how you became Priestess, how you got the name Priestess, how you began writing and working and just doing music. Like, can you talk to us a little bit about how all of that came together?
Absolutely. So I believe I was around, I want to say 21. Maybe I was about 21.
Okay.
I think when this happened. Not when I started rapping or anything, but I was around 21 years old when I hit this like really hard brick in the wall of life, right? Where you're still pretty much a baby. I don't care what nobody says.
You swear you're so grown.
You swear you're so grown, but you were not really grown to about 26, 27, 28, keep it a band. But during that process, I was trying to dissociate. I was trying to disconnect from this monotonous version of my experience, right? That I was having up until that point. It was more that I was kind of just coasting through life based off what somebody told me to do. How it was, parents, teachers, coaches, the whole nine. It was society itself. It's like, this is a blueprint of what you should be in robot formation into that being, right? And I did it I truly did it. I gave them 21 years of my life. I gave that energy 21 years of my life. I kid you not. And it was just one day, things weren't making sense, right? And I just broke down. I remember I was just in a dark space, but I had never known what a dark space was, right? I was a machine as a kid. Like, I played basketball and tennis, you know what I mean, year round. I was in the Junior Olympic tennis squad. Absolutely. I was playing AAU basketball with the college to play ball. So since 4 years old, I've been training. I was in the band.
Oh yeah, represent.
You know what I'm saying? I was in the band, so that's where a lot of my music theory comes from. Of course, you had to go to church and go to school. That was mandatory.
Very mandatory.
You feel what I'm saying? So my schedule was full of, I was like a machine. It was like repetition, working. Saying all this to say, when I got to 21, because around that time also, like, I was away from my family at this time.
Okay.
Right.
So you were away in college?
I was away. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I was at college, but I ended up going back to Nashville. But my family had moved already. They had already gone to Atlanta, so I was in our old house by myself.
Out in Tennessee?
In Nashville.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
So I was living in this house by myself. Like, there was nobody there. My family was gone. Everybody was gone in their own separate spaces.
Okay.
So I was going to TSU, and I was living in Brentwood at the time. And when I was doing this it was like one of my first times where I was actually by myself. So when I didn't have anything to do, or in my mind, like, yeah, I still had school, but I didn't know how to manage that without having, because I was like, oh, I got all this free time, and you piss off all your time. It's like, that's not right. So anyway, having all this time on my hands, I got to sit with myself, away from any influences. There were no outside influences. It was only me. To sit with myself, sit with my truth. And I literally broke down one day. I think it was actually a Monday, because that Sunday I went to church, and when I left church, it was just, I was empty, right? Like, it was something that I was yearning for. It was just like, there's more to this. You know, like when you eating crumbs, and you like, I can smell the aroma of something in here that's a meal. It's an actual meal, but I have no access to it. And I don't know why, but I need access to the full meal. Okay. So I needed access to the full truth, right? There's truth in everything, right? But there are certain areas where truth lacks. And I always feel where truth lacks, all the time. So when I actually was able to sit with that, I said, I went that Monday, very next Monday. I remember I was in a dark room, and I was just like, Most High, I can't do this. So what I wanted, I said, I want a specific, real, authentic relationship with you, and I want you to tell me the truth from your mouth. That's exactly what I said. I said, I want you to tell me the truth from your mouth. I want you to tell me who I am, what am I doing here? What do you want me to do here? Wow. I asked all these questions verbatim at the age of 21. And that's when my journey started.
And how did that feel?
It was, I'm going to tell you, in the moment.
Yeah,
I was charged. I was excited. I was like, yes. Like, because as soon as I asked it, I felt like I was being heard, right? I started to immediately, as I started speaking those words, I started to feel release. I started to feel debris come off my body, come off my mind, come off my heart. I started to feel, things were opening, portals were opening, so I was able to receive. I was able to let go. I just wanted to be as empty as possible. Yeah. So that I could be full with the truth. I understand. Throughout that process, I had dropped out of college. Okay. Around that time, right? And that was interesting, because this all came right after I asked. Wow. You feel what I'm saying? So I was like, boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. I left college. Then I started discovering, deep occult knowledge, right? Deep occult sciences and things like that from ATR, African spirituality.
And just for anyone who is unfamiliar with what that terminology means.
Occult, yes, absolutely. So occult knowledge just means hidden knowledge. That's all it is. It's a sacred hidden knowledge that actually everybody should know, and it should actually be taught to us all, but it's not. And I started studying like civic law. I started studying like ancient Egyptian sciences and Kemetic science, Kemetic spirituality. Like, I just started really getting into. I was even studying a little bit of physics at the time, like metaphysics, because it all coincides. Like science and spirituality and magic, they all really one and the same. A lot of people don't realize that, but. And I don't know if you heard the term, but African spirituality is Western science. Ancient spirituality is actual Western science. Magic is science. It's all there. It's all in unison, right? So I started studying all this stuff. I found myself in libraries more than when I was in school. I was just constantly like wanting to soak up as much knowledge as possible. And at the time, I was like I said, I was still a baby. My brain had not even finished developing. So when you ask like how I felt at the time, amazing. Yeah. Now that I'm 31 and I look back, I'm like, whoa, I knew way too much too fast.
And I was about to ask you, like, because it sounds like you just hit the ground, like,
I hit the ground
running. And I'm
running.
curious to know if it was a little overwhelming, like, coming from someone, okay, you said you were raised in church, right?
Right.
And you were raised on the Bible, right?
Right.
Okay, so coming from reading that text, that literature for 21 years, and then flooding yourself with knowledge that I'm guessing kind of like...
Well, and you would think it would, but not necessarily.
Okay.
It just made me be able to objectively read what was happening. Also, I was able to have the knowledge to know that version, that's not the whole truth. You have the Gnostics, the codices, like there's so, like the original text of the Bible. So it wasn't that it made me like not believe it. No,
right, and that's what
no, it made me dig deeper for what it was actually saying. And then throughout that process, like I said, I was doing all of that, but I was just soaking up so much at a time.
Right.
Yeah, so like I said, a couple years, maybe not even a couple years, I want to say a few months, maybe 7-8 months into that process, I met who was a mentor at the time to me, and this gentleman like brought me with like introduced me to a whole nother world that I have never experienced before, and that's when I started to study civic law, right?
Gotcha.
And I started to study about the land. I started to study about where I come from, because I am indigenous to this land. My people are from, Detroit and Arizona and Oklahoma.
Cool.
So we are the original
Good
Native
to know your
Americans.
roots. Right.
Yeah, you feel what I'm saying? So when I started realizing it, because my dad's grandfather is like 100% full Native American, like red, like clay looking man with the, you feel what I'm saying? So that was just like, I'm not connected to any of it. I don't know about any of it because my family, they were disconnected from their truth, so they have no idea. But I started to like see what that was about, and like I said, I started to learn a little bit. Like I said, I learned too much too fast without proper fundamentals. Right? I learned too much too fast without the proper discipline to know how to apply certain things, and I ended up messing up a lot of my life because of it, like truth be told.
Wow.
And I can honestly say that now at 31, because I'm doing so much work.
Can you give me some examples?
To get back on track. Yeah, like just being in a state of like rebellion, right? When you learn all of that knowledge and you learn that you've been lied to your whole life about everything, and you yourself realize that none of that was true, that is heartbreaking, right? It is earth-shattering. Like my whole world came falling apart. So I was doing, and I'm a fire sign, like mainly, but I'm always like grandiose, right? I'm flames at all times, right? Until I'm not, right? But generally I'm flames. So anything I do, somebody might do it here, I'm gonna do it here.
Yeah, okay. So where would you say in this gap that the music became a part of this?
25.
Okay.
So at around 23, I do all this, and like I tell you, I started my own church, so to speak. So it was, I didn't necessarily name it a church, but it was more so, that's just how people identify it, but it was more so a place of fellowship for me and like-minded individuals, because at the time I didn't know anything about non-denominational sanctions and places where people who are more so centered around the oneness of spirituality, they had a place to do it, right? I didn't know anything about that, so me being me, I just created my own space, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna wait on nobody, so I just made my own space. And that's when Most High revealed to me, like, a part of your mission is to speak. You have to use, like, I have the gift of words. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, and I come from both sides of my family, pastors and musicians. So it was inevitable to it, you know what I mean, to an extent. And then with everything that I was learning, I was a student. And when you're a student, when you're a dedicated for learning, a dedicated student will always be a teacher.
Oh, that's good.
Always, right? So I was a dedicated student, and that's when I knew I had to teach, because I was always learning, and my spaces were set up in the sense, so you know how in, Christian church, or any church for that matter, there's one preacher, and that preacher's telling everybody everything, right? And there's just one perspective. Well, in my sanction, I had it where well, in the sanction that I facilitated, it ain't mine, you know. I'm borrowing the gift anyway.
Right.
So, and that's in that space, I would give the blueprint of what was happening throughout my week, right? And what trauma I faced or what drama I faced, whatever the case, what issues, problems, and what I did with my energy throughout that process to get to the next side of it, and what components and, you know, pieces that I used to do so, what equipment that I used to do so. And towards the end of it, I would always allow the room to engage, because I'm a firm believer in there may be somebody you can reach that I can't reach. Just because I have the gift of words, somebody may not be able to translate what it is that I'm saying. You see what I mean? But if you provide your perspective and you provide your input as well, we can all learn something. Because I'm a firm believer, if we all in the same vibration, we gonna learn, right? And I trusted my space that I had cultivated enough to know that whoever was coming in here was in the vibrations. I had written poems for a while, I guess, but when I was younger, I didn't do it. I haven't written a poem. At that point, I hadn't written since I was like 8, 9 years old. Right. Maybe 12. I don't know. I had no idea I was going to do music.
Okay.
Right?
So you were just kind of playing around with it?
I was just playing around. I was just here, there. You feel me? So I was, like I said, when I started speaking, I was writing more. Right. Okay. So me writing more went from me writing like an actual speech to me writing my thoughts. Right. Okay. And then I speak in metaphors and poetry. Like, that's just how I naturally speak. Right. So as I was writing it, I started to see, I'm like, oh, this has a pattern. This has a rhythm. It has my thoughts. My very thoughts had a rhythm, had a cadence to it. And I was like, these are my thoughts. Like, and then I started writing, like purposefully writing poetry. Right. And then I noticed how I was writing it was more in a rap form. Gotcha. You feel me? And because, you know, some poetry is written, you know, obtuse, acute, whatever. You know, in different forms. There's really no right or wrong way. But the way I was doing it was giving life. You know what I mean? I was like, I feel like I'm like reading. I'm like, you know what I mean? In my head. So it was one day I was on my lunch break and I turned on a beat on YouTube. And I was like, let me just see how this sounds, right? And I started rapping what I had, like the poem that I had.
Lunch break rapping.
Literally. I started rapping what I had on it, and I was like, hard.
Like, a little nice. Had to look around, like, did anybody else hear that?
No, facts. I was like, this is cold right here. I was like, all right, bet. Let me see. Okay, cool. So I was like, I'm going to wait till I get off work. I'm going to go to the crib and I'm going to really sit down and like lock in. Right. And that's what I did. And I went back to the crib. And I put on YouTube. And I started playing some beats. Okay. And I found one I like and I just started writing. I was like, oh man, it's hard. So I got to the point where I was loving what I was writing. I was like, I need to record this. I want to hear myself.
Wow. Okay.
That's because I was recording myself on my phone, but it wasn't doing it justice. I was like, this is dope, but I need to hear this. You feel me? So I found this studio. To this day, I don't know how I ended up there, but I ended up meeting a gentleman by the name of David Holbert. His artist name is DH. My brother to this day. Shout out to DH. Love you, bro. But he was the first studio I've ever walked in. And he's in a commercial studio. He in a big old nice space now, but we started out at the trailer park. Okay, right? Trailer park. So this studio,
it's all about this.
Yeah, this studio was in the trailer park, which was cool because it was like I like small quarters. I don't like all that big. I don't need all that big extra stuff. Yeah, I don't need all that. I just need somewhere we're gonna get the job done. Do I feel safe here? And is it love here? Right. Everything else gonna take care of itself. You know what I'm saying? So ended up finding him. I recorded my first song with him. I remember rapping my first verse and he stopped and was like, wait, what? Like, literally, I was like, oh, I know. He was like, how long you been rapping? I was like, 2 weeks. He was like, no way. I was like, yes, 2 weeks. So we get the song done. Next thing I know, I'm going back often. He's like, not even really charging me. He probably charged me $20 for 4
Yeah.
hours type stuff. You know what I mean? So he's just wanting me to be there. He's called like, hey, Priest, you coming in, Priest? Like,
Right.
what we doing? Like, and he was on me to get stuff done. Next thing I know, he introduced me to one of his friends who was a curator. You know, he was throwing shows, and he was like, my homeboy looking for somebody for he's looking for an artist to rap at his show. He got one more spot, and I want him to put you on. Like, I want him to know you. Da da da. I'm like, cool. So I go do this show. It was like 6 people in the room.
Oh, I'm up here thinking like this is about to be like your debut, like a huge crowd. Well, I mean, let me not crap on your debut.
But like in actuality, I was thinking that too. But when I walked in the room and there was nobody in there, I cannot explain the relief.
Been there.
That I had.
Thank you, no one showed up.
Now, these days, I'm going to still give my all, but it's a little frustrating to do that.
Right.
But back then, it was like, that was my first show ever. I was so nervous. I was like, yo, I'm about to rap in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
Who is rap? I have never rapped in front of nobody. I have never been on a stage in front of, I mean, you know, I've spoken on a platform.
Right.
But you talking about doing music, this is a different level of art. This is an intimate level of art. Like speaking, that is something, but I'm natural. I'm good at that. I can talk to anybody. I can talk a room into submission. It does not matter. But getting on stage to rap and do some music and share it, and I'm like, I think it's dope, but what if they don't think it's dope? That's gonna hurt my feelings.
Right.
You know, that's nerve-wracking. So like I said, it was like 6 people, the bartender, my homeboy DH, the promoter who threw the show, one other girl who I actually still cool with to this day. I actually got a show with her in Nashville on September 25th. So to this day, we still locked in. And then there's like 2 other people in there. So I went in there and got on stage and I did my thing. I was nervous. I think I messed up just a little bit, but I was like, sorry, y'all, this is my first show. And then I got off the stage and they was like, wait, this your first show? Like my homegirl came, she was like, your first show? She was like, yo, you didn't even have to say that. We would have never known that.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, yeah, right. Yeah, like I wouldn't, you know, I didn't realize at that time I had a gift.
Right.
I didn't realize I had a gift.
And at this time, you were already Priestess? You were already going by Priestess?
At this time, yes. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, good question, tell you how that came about. So you remember me telling you as things that I was studying, studying Egyptian knowledge and all that type of stuff. There was this book called Egyptian Hieroglyphs. Okay. And so my mentor told me, he was like, all right, so what you're going to do, because this is how the English language is so dirty, it doesn't really depict the truth of etymology and what words, or what vibrations mean. Okay. Right? Like, the English language just gives you a word, but it doesn't hold a vibration. Gotcha. And the vibration that it holds is so low, it's dangerous. It's like spell written already. You know what I mean? It's like a low vibrational spell automatically, because so many words mean so many different things. But in ancient dialects, they have sound. Yeah. They have vibrations. So, and only certain sounds and vibrations mean certain things, right? So he was like, I want you to go in. I want you to read this. I want you to write down a list of personality and character traits about yourself. I want you to it was like write 12. I think it was like 12, not even 12. It was probably like 7 or 8, something like that. I don't know. He was just like, write a list of qualities of yourself that stand out the most to you, that you feel like truly define who you are. Right. It's like, bet. It's like, when you do this, you're going to go in this book and you're going to go in the hieroglyph book, and that the words that you wrote are going to associate to a symbol. Okay. That symbol is going to associate with the actual word that it means, right? And so literally my very first word said priestess. Gotcha. And it was like a lot. It was some more than that. You know, it was Priestess Speaks. Like, it was like a whole line. But that was the very first word. So I didn't come up with Priestess. I would have never known to call myself that. Right. So yeah, that's how Priestess came about. And rest is history. And so from that point, you're still in Nashville. You're 25. Okay.
So that's about 6 years ago now, because you mentioned a few times your age. So
21, 25. Yeah.
talk to us about how you got to Atlanta. Like, how long have you been in Atlanta?
I've been in Atlanta now for 4 years. Before I got to Atlanta, I was living in Orlando.
Okay.
So I want to say around, after about 2 years of me doing music in Nashville, moved to Orlando.
Okay.
I was in Orlando for a year and some change. Then moved to Atlanta for a bit. Then I moved back out to Miami.
Okay.
For some time. And then I moved back to Atlanta. So
Okay.
I've officially, like, steadily been here for about 3 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so was music the thing that brought you here?
No. Life sat me down.
Okay.
Hardship brought me here.
I understand.
I did not want to come here.
I understand.
I did not want to come here. All truth be told, I didn't want to come here. But you know, life happens, and I got humbled very quickly, very, very quickly. And it was good. You know, it was on time. I needed it. I didn't realize I needed it at the time, because boy, was I in shambles when it happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was really mad. I was upset. And it was the first time that I had ever really experienced depression. I never knew what that meant until I was like 27, 28.
Understood.
I never knew what depression was. I never knew what anxiety was. I never knew, you know, battling suicidal thoughts, what that meant, until like 28, 30.
Yeah.
And that was like, or 27 to 30 is your Saturn years anyway. So that's when life gets real for those. I don't know how old you are, but if you're not gotten there yet, buckle up, baby girl. But it's not a bad thing at all. It's just contrast, right?
Right.
It's just a space of potential evolution if you use it right. Right.
So you said life sat you down.
Mm-hmm.
So then when did life pick you back up for you to do your music?
I always did the music.
Okay.
Honestly, I made some of my best music over the years because I was in the darkness.
Okay.
I've been in the darkness for a while, for the last 4 years.
That's interesting. When I met you, you were performing.
Uh-huh.
And I just remember being like, wow, she has such a great vibe, you know, and everything. And that's not me saying you don't have a great, you can't have a great vibe in depression. Depression doesn't look like a thing.
Right.
You know, it's not, there is no scale to monitor and detect who is depressed.
Right.
And we see that so much in society.
Uh-huh.
But just, you know, the posture that you had even in your performance, even in that time, knowing now, you know, I feel like you were carrying yourself really well in that space.
Yeah, I feel like that was thank you for that, but I also feel like that was a tribute to the warrior that has been created.
Because your dreams can't stop even when life does, you know. What would you tell someone in a particular situation like that? Like, you know, like, how do you keep pushing in that kind of space? How did you keep pushing in that space?
I know it sounds mundane. Well, I'm not going to say that first. What I will say is balance.
Yeah.
Balance, right? So I'm going to tell you how I did it. Absolutely. That's the word. I use that word all the time. I can't stress that word enough because people like intentionality is such a lost art. I feel like most of us just live numb and just kind of glide. We're not even paying attention. We're not intentional, right? But how I did it, how I'm doing it, because I don't feel like I've completely even made it. I feel like I'm climbing out. Right. I feel like I am now
making the efforts to come out of that.
Absolutely. I feel like I am now finally climbing out into a new day. And it's definitely a new day. I'm in a new universe, new reality, new paradigm. It's so new. I'm no longer in that space that I was in, right? I'm just working to make the reality shift to that as well, right? But I personally, I'm speaking for me, I'm a very sensitive individual. I am very sensitive.
Too.
I'm very emotional.
Same.
I can be very vulnerable.
OMG.
I can be very, very soft. And I am very soft generally. So, but to the world, I'm rough as shit because this softness has to be earned.
Yeah.
This is not something that I give away freely. no, you have to earn this softness. You have to earn this vulnerability with me. That's what I am now. But it took life having to teach me.
Absolutely.
You are equipped. It's like I don't know if you ever seen those shows like National Treasure. If they have this big or just any type of whatever, and they'll have this sacred object, right, or a sacred sword or something. Mm-hmm. They keep that sacred sword locked up where nobody can access it. You can't touch it. Mm-hmm. It has to be, if you want it, what you gotta do? You gotta buy it. You have to buy it. You have to spend literally all your money to get it.
Yeah.
And I may not charge you money. Some of you I will charge to have access to me. But it may not be money, but you gotta pay.
Yeah.
You gotta pay in vibration. You gotta pay in reciprocation. You gotta pay in humility. You gotta pay in love. You gotta pay in respect. I have to be earned, right?
Yeah.
And that's what was taught to me throughout that darkness. So when I say balance, I got through it simultaneously. I let myself feel it. I let myself be there. I did, because I'm saying for me personally, I wasn't able to successfully make it out of that if I wasn't true about what I was feeling.
Right.
For me to just be like, for me to feel that dark, that low, and to just get up and be like, nah, I'm cool, I'm good, I would not be where I'm at today.
Right.
I truly would not. I'd be probably worse off than what I started. And the best thing that I ever did was allow myself to feel it.
So in that space, you're still creating your content. What was your relationship like with your music? Were you mainly just writing? Were you still performing? Is this where the producer side of you kind of came to light? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes, I'm gonna be honest. I fell out of the spotlight as an artist.
Okay.
During this time, I kid you not, because I'm the type of person, like, it's very hard for me to share myself with the world if I don't feel okay.
Yeah, I totally get that.
You feel me?
I totally get that.
I was not performing as much. I think it's been about 2 years now.
Wow.
That I've not held the same, repetition of performing that I did in my early years of being an artist.
Right.
But during this time, I never stopped. As much as I thought I was going to, because I was just like completely overwhelmed with existing in this human experience.
Right.
I was like, I can't do this music, but I could never put it down. And I started producing during this time.
Yeah. And
producing led me, because when you produce, you got to know some form of engineering to create a balanced sound. You know what I mean? So, but I started getting into engineering. I started, paying for classes, and I started going to studios, getting internships. I started sitting behind Grammy Award winning engineers. You know what I mean? Like, and we're even here in one of the studios that I work at. But like, I do internship here as well. You feel me? Because I'm constantly want to be surrounded by the education of it. I constantly want to be a student so that I'm sharpening my craft at all time. And now I'm in the position, I feel myself getting on stage, because I still performed throughout the time, but it was little trinkles.
Right, little small stuff
little trinkles, little things of that. But where I'm at now, I feel myself emerging. I feel myself rising out of those ashes now.
Because I've been seeing you lately on your socials. Like, you've been popping out. You've been popping out. So that's why I'm like, okay, she's coming from behind the desk again. Okay.
Right. So I'm now emerging out of these ashes, and I feel myself doing it, right? So I can't necessarily say I'm going to be back to how I was performing 5 times a week like I used to do. I'm a little older now, you know what I'm saying? And that makes a difference, but this, until it pays me to do that.
I understand.
You feel what I'm saying? I now have a balance in which I must heed to everything that my life requires, right? And I'm in a position right now. I am looking forward to when I find my home.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like I've found home yet. Yeah. I'm out here existing and getting myself, back under, back on top, but I'm looking for home.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't know, now, like I said, I'm performing more. I also, I will start dropping in October.
Okay.
My first single is going to be dropping in October.
Next month.
And I'm like, this came
Way too quick. It happens all the time.
I'm like, I was literally just planning this 2 months ago. And like October is here tomorrow.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, so there's things. I got a beat tray. I have a beat tape also dropping.
Oh, that's gonna be cool
in October. So I'm not gonna say when and why, but I'm dropping.
Right.
And I'll explain when and why when it happens.
And exactly.
So yeah, doing that. Also gonna be working on my first music video.
Oh, that's exciting.
In a long time. I think the last time I dropped a music video was 5 years ago. It was during my first year of doing music.
Okay.
And I had dropped maybe 3. And I haven't dropped one since. I've dropped some music like here and there, mainly SoundCloud, maybe 2 songs and a feature is on mainstream platforms, right? But I haven't intentionally really dropped music and pushed it. You feel what I'm saying? And that's where I'm holding myself now. That is a requirement of me. I am now requiring that of myself right now. So I'm also producing a project for one of my artists, Royal. Shout out to my homie Royal. We're working on her EP.
Absolutely.
She actually just got casted on the Tiny Show.
That's cool.
This coming up here in November. So yeah, I'm gonna be working on her tape. And prayerfully some more.
Well, I'm glad that we were able to have this exchange before you really get vamping, so that you can kind of build up that momentum and build up that fan base even more, because now people have a reason to really follow. You're almost reintroducing yourself.
I am.
Right? And so that's why it's kind of it's almost exciting. I feel like this is real deal.
I am.
Scoop.
I
got
thought
the
about
scoop.
that the other day. I was like, yo, this is like a rebirth of a sort. Because I remember when I was a baby artist, I went by Priestess of Planet X. Right? And then throughout that time, it was just like, that is still where I come from, but
right.
I don't need all that. I'm just Priestess. Right? And then I kept growing. I kept moving. I kept living. I kept experiencing. And I was like, but I speak.
Absolutely. And you speak very well.
I speak. That's my gift. I speak. Right? And I was like, I'm Priestess Speaks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't feel like I want to change anymore, but I feel like I'm finally, like I say, emerging out of these ashes and truly holding myself to the standard that this divinity I've always felt to be.
Well, you need to let us hold you accountable too.
Please.
We need to follow you, follow your journey.
Yes.
Stream this music. Please tell the people where they can follow you, subscribe, stream.
Absolutely. So you can follow me on Instagram at Priestess Speaks for me. Okay. That's a number 4, all lowercase, all one word, no dots, gaps, nothing. Priestess Speaks for me on IG. And then on TikTok, I'm at Priestess Speaks.
Okay, TikTok.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my TikTok. I'm old for TikTok.
Don't say that, because that means I'm right behind you. I am in the old lady line.
You know what?
Please don't say that.
When TikTok first came out, I thought it was for the babies. Now,
I really did. And now I'm wondering, ooh, watch me.
All the grown people on there talking about, and I'm like,
girl, and I still can't get that little body roll thing.
I was just talking to my homie the other day. I was like, yo, our dances had 1 or 2 pieces. It was like
our dancers had we knew what to do
but it wasn't. It's a whole choreography now.
Boom, boom, boom,
I'm like, how do y'all? It's a lot. But anyway, I'm on TikTok too. I don't be doing all that, but I do share my beats. I speak.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I share my raps. I'm out there. Like you said, I have been more consistent.
Absolutely.
Lately on the platforms,
building up the appearance.
That's been my goal.
Absolutely.
My theme of my life right now is discipline, consistency, plan execution, time management.
Yeah.
That is my theme. That is my goal. That's all I'm interested in. I ain't worried about nothing else.
Look, and I just wanted to throw it in here because you mentioned beats.
Yes.
All of the music that you guys have been listening to this entire interview comes from this one. So listen, to all my rappers out there, if you're looking for a producer, you just found one.
Come on, holla at me.
Hey, listen.
Especially if you're in that lo-fi, smooth groove, jazzy,
smooth,
making bass bounce type energy. I got you. That's my vibe. I'm also on on streaming platforms, but I'm on there as Priestess of Planet X right now, and my SoundCloud is at Priestess Speaks now. Gotcha. So it's either Priestess Speaks or Priestess of Planet X. You're gonna find it either way. And I will have, soon I'm gonna consolidate all of that. You know what I mean? Right. But I just wanted to give people, because I ain't really been out there, so I'm just like, whatever how it works. But
totally understandable.
But Priestess Speaks, as long as you follow my IG, you're gonna know everything that's happening, because that's where I go to do. So I start there and I post the other ones from there. So so as long as you follow me on IG at Priestess Speaks for me, you'll find me.
Well, listen, I just want to thank you for coming onto the show, sharing all of your knowledge, even just sharing your story with us. I'm really grateful to see you, to know that, like, when I met you, you were in a space that I didn't even know enough to understand. Yeah. And then now can spin the block and get the full story. Yeah. And then watch you come out, like literally watch you come out of it. Woman to woman, it makes me feel great. And listen, y'all know I have to thank y'all for continually tuning in to Room 1002.
Can I tell you, thank you for having me. It's been a blessing.
Absolutely.
And I'm truly grateful for being here.
Thank you.
I
love that.
You're doing some beautiful things. And I'm grateful to know that I was in the pilot section of your career.
I really appreciate that.
You about to take off.
I hope y'all believe in Room 1002 like that, because I'm testing your belief. I need you guys to subscribe. I'm kidding. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel. You guys want to make sure you share this video, like, comment, the whole 9 yards. Make sure if you have an artist or a friend who is an artist, or you're an artist, that you click down below in the description box and click on the artist suggestion box. What I ask on there is pretty simple stuff. What's your name? Where can I stream the artist's music? How can I get in contact with the artist? And I'm pretty sure that someone would really appreciate the opportunity. So do not hesitate to submit as many names as you would like. Priestess, you got anything else for us today?
You all just be careful out here. Spiritual warfare is subtle, it's sneaky, and it'll find you in ways you least expect. So be diligent, be fortified in your energy, do the work, hold accountability, and exist with humility. So life doesn't have to aggressively humble you.
I really feel like, don't take offense to this, I really feel like my grandma just gave me the best talking of my life.
I don't feel it. I'm not offended. You know how long since I came out the womb, my mama has been telling me to stop acting. She's like, girl, you've been old since
an old woman.
Since my soul been here for a lot of eons. I'm tired. I pray ain't gotta come back.
Well, listen, thank you once more. Yes, it has truly been a pleasure. Yes. And you guys already know what it is. Until next time.